call, please.
Mayor Grimminger.
Here.
Alderman Skaggs.
Here.
Alderwoman Zerwig.
Here.
Alderman Stupi.
Here.
Alderman Jokers.
Here.
Alderman Steiger.
Here.
Alderman Okenthus.
Here.
Alderwoman Broomfield. Alderman Ross.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Approve the agenda.
Make motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you all. Invited in the city administrator's report.
Okay, there's an effort to get the mayors of cities that are on the Mississippi together to talk about the needs of maintaining Mississippi River for ways in which it benefits the cities. The mayor and I participated, and the mayor agreed to be at least named on the committee, and this is the lower Mississippi and below the locks and dams, I guess. But the we had a conference call. I think our participation, while not a bad idea, is kind of more kind of for form rather than function. They talked about a lot of things that just don't really affect the city much. A lot of agricultural concerns, which we should be concerned about because agriculture is a part of the economy that supports the city. So I'm just informing you that we're part of this process in case you hear about it, although I'm not sure how much publicity it gets. It's more of a thing to identify priorities and affect federal legislation so that there is support for maintaining the Mississippi as a commercial way. And we're part of the process now. We invited a member of the Missouri Department of Transportation to meet in St. Genevieve. There had been a number of discussions, questions raised about like the signs that we're doing and speed limits coming into town and the striping of the highways, and there was just a signalization. There were a number of things brought up. So I decided just to get him here, and whoever had a concern could meet with him and see if we can't get some action. So we met here. We talked about our desire to put up these signs. And we discovered we need permission from the state to use the right-of-way. So he's taking that back and proceeding with that. And Bob Mueller is going to make a map for them so that they can identify where the signs are. We talked about putting up signs that direct people to I-55 from the city, and they agreed pretty much that they'd give them to us if we wanted to put them up. So I think that's going to work out. He went over and met with Alderman Stupi about double lines coming down the hill going south on 61 as you get to Cody T's and his business, because those trucks are always trying to pass there, and it's a safety problem. And I mentioned Highway O, which Alderman Steiger asked about, because it's hard to see a Highway O when you're going north on 61 at night to figure out where to turn. And we talked about speed limits coming into town, and we learned a lot. One of the things we learned is that they're a bit of a reactive organization. They're going to put up signs, put in no passing lanes, or put up speed limits based on whether or not accidents occur. And if you have no history of accidents, they don't do anything. We also discovered that their policy on speed limits has to do with what he called it the 85% rule. What 85% of the people are comfortable driving is what they set the speed limit at.
How do they get that number?
He gave me a pamphlet, and I read it. It still doesn't make any sense. I was once in college at and the university where I had this big planning department, and then they just to try and they put in sidewalks, and nobody would pay any attention to them. And so eventually they just took an aerial photograph of the campus, and they put in sidewalks wherever people were walking. That's what this reminded me of. Whatever they're driving, that's what we're gonna tell them is okay to drive. But I think it was, my snide remarks notwithstanding, I think it was a productive meeting, and I hope we'll get some results from it. Alderman Stupi has encouraged us to, if we have concerns, to contact our legislator, which I think is a good idea, because the Department of Transportation is certainly sensitive to the opinions of elected officials, so that would not be a bad idea. We began work at Westwood. The work they've done this week is basically the replacement of the stormwater. They haven't started the paving. This is the slow part of the job. But once that's done, they'll move right into the pavement replacement. We completed the chip and seal. I want to thank the crew. I want to thank the county for the use of their oil truck, and to our surprise, to my surprise, because information was withheld from me, they also had a dump truck available, which really made it go a lot faster. I mean, a bigger truck, guys that do it all the time, it facilitated it. Through the whole process, I received one complaint, and I expected my phone to ring a lot more than that. And I was able to meet the lady out there, and we took care of her concerns, and she was satisfied. So I think overall it went well. It's going to be a little over budget, but we already knew that because we added the Valley Springs section. And we've got some kind of remedial work to do on Lynn Street. Alderman Broomfield pointed out to me, and we already knew about it, that there's been some people going too fast and turning too sharp, which tends to push the material. So we're going to go back and hit that with a roller and see if we can't level it back out tomorrow. So again, thanks to the county and congratulations to the crew.
Can I ask a question on that, on the chip and seal? I know it's being packed in pretty well with the traffic going over it. Will there be a period of time after it's packed in pretty good that they'll come back and remove the excess?
Monday, we should expect to be back with the sweeper.
Thank you.
And there's a few spots, like you said, that's been pushed, and it's been not just on Lynn, but some of those other areas too.
Well, if anybody sees them, call, and
Yeah.
so we can tend to them.
Back there on what we were just talking about, LaCroix and DuPont, there's a couple spots that need to be just hit with a little more gravel.
But you
All
can't
still-
just put gravel on, you gotta roll it in.
Yeah,
So,
well, it needs to be done.
yeah.
It seemed to me like there were some areas that were washboarding too.
Yeah, because the rock's too
Yeah.
thick there.
That's like around Austin in there,
Yeah.
rolling right in there.
Yep.
I went through this morning, noticed that, it's pretty rough.
Now, assuming what happens between now and then, and Dave said, you know, we're gonna, I think Teddy brought it up, but what do you do with a rock when you pick it up in the sweeper? And, it potentially could be reused in areas, stockpiled and reused. Dave said, depends on how much dirt we pick up in the interim. It'll be material we can use for something. I attended the special road district meeting with the mayor, and rather than have that part of my report, I'd like to turn it over to the mayor so he can report what was said by him.
Well, I guess I told them that I didn't think that 24,000, that thought we deserved a little bit more than that. And, they listened and were gracious and didn't really say anything, you know, that they said this was a start. We pointed out that how we could, if we were just limited to the specific roads that they were talking about, that we would be real hard to take, especially with our budget, to take and do $24,000 worth of work on 4th Street wouldn't get us very far. So they sounded maybe that they would reconsider that part of it where we might be able to accumulate that money and actually do a bigger part of the project, even if it took us a few years to do it. But I tried to point out the amount of people, the voters in the city, and the percentage of revenue and the percentage of voters versus their whole district. So I don't know. We'll see where it gets us. That is something that, I mean, that was on an April to April contract, Martin, or was it a calendar year?
The,
as far as to be able to use the money. Because I'm wondering if we don't want to go,
it was a 12-month, it was in their budget cycle. They adopted budget in April? Yeah, they did.
do they? Wasn't it? I was going to say, we don't want to certainly pass up anything and not sign something to be able to get the $24,000 that's out there right now.
I thought they agreed to that last year. I think we've still been waiting since this agreement since the last fiscal year of last year.
Well, they just adopted, the agreement that they presented to us, upon which we did not act, is only about 4 months old, and it was for their current fiscal year.
They had a budget meeting in January of this year. That was the first time they considered it.
Okay.
So we need to do something before, we miss out on that, we end up in it next year, so. I don't know that they will reconsider anything this year. I guess we'll see. It was pointed out certainly that there is a fair amount of their money that's in protest, so 100 and something thousand,
Yes.
that they actually don't have access to, so I don't know. We'll see where it gets.
The next item, it was brought to our attention at the last meeting that the cost of insurance for the Short Effect Committee was $10,000, and the question was raised as whether there's a role for the city in helping kind of address issues like that. So I posed the question to Lakeman, and I was getting kind of vague responses, so I requested a written response that would explain what effect that the city would have and what we would have to do if we were to some way participate in trying to insure against liability for that civic event. And I did not get it in time for this meeting, but it's being worked on, and I'll get it to you as soon as I get it. There's a provision in our code that if there's an insurance claim for a structure that's damaged that is because of the event is in violation of the city codes, that the city would get to withhold 25% of the insurance proceeds to ensure that the person uses the money to bring the structure back up to standard. And I never knew how that worked. But Brenda did the research, and it turns out you have to register with the Department of Insurance that you have that ordinance. So we did, and we sent them a copy of our ordinance. So from this day forward, if there's an insurance claim, we'll be notified. And pardon?
Didn't we do that? Didn't we just recently have that same issue come up on Second Street? About 2 years ago?
We had an insurance company that contacted us and voluntarily said, "Do you have the ordinance?" And we said yes, and they withheld the funds. But we've had other instances where the money was paid out and the repairs were never made. I didn't meet with, but I have set up a meeting with CMO to begin the focus work group on the comprehensive plan. That meeting will be next week. And
So what's the next step on that? I'm sorry.
we will select from the list of people that were recommended to us a group who will then meet with the planning staff from CMO and me, and we will establish the priorities for consideration in our kind of the SWOT analysis, is what our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are, and then that will become the framework for citizen participation in the formation of the comprehensive plan.
Can we,
Yes.
in that regard, the mayor knows I've been critical of the speed that we've been working on this comprehensive plan since I've been on the board. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. Could I ask you for a written response as far as what the planning is, as far as
Schedule?
a schedule? That would be great, because I've been disappointed with the time frame on the way we've been going about doing this. So I would love to have written schedule as far as the steps involved.
I think that's a more than reasonable request. The safe routes to school information has been sent to the state, waiting for the bond and insurance approval for the contractor. We called them and said, look, this is ridiculous. Can we go ahead and have our pre-construction meeting? I mean, is everything okay? And they said, yeah. So we're going to schedule a pre-construction meeting with the contractor and get the ball rolling while the state's looking at the forms that were sent to them. And finally, another request for right-of-way is attached to my report. Mr. Walk owns the property. You know, if you go down Lynn, which we just chip and sealed, it is platted beyond where it is paved. And Mr. Walk says that, not Lynn, I'm sorry, Keeper. Klein. Mr. Walk, at the bottom of the page is where Mr. Walk lives. And it's Klein Street. And he has been maintaining that and would like to know if we would abandon it so that he can claim title to it.
Now, wouldn't half of that go to the other property
Half,
owner?
well, yes.
Depends on how it's owned. If it's a deeded, if it's an easement, we abandon it, then we would abandon it. If we own it by deed, then what most cities do is just say, fight over it.
Well,
Yeah, 'cause you
We're
see
not
this
gonna
property right
give
there.
you a deed, and we're not going to tell you that you don't have.
Well, your advice to us last time was to abandon it. There's reason to believe, once it's abandoned, that the property reverts to the adjacent property owner. But we're not gonna opine. We're gonna abandon it, and you guys figure out who owns what, right?
Oh, okay, all right, that's it.
And that would be the case here. I would just have them, as I'm proposing to do with Ms. Meyer, you tell me what it is you want us to abandon. You get it defined, and then we'll put it in an ordinance.
Then you gotta go backwards and try to figure out how we acquire title in the first place. And sometimes it's simply historic road, then we're talking easement, and sometimes
What
it's
is this right
deeded,
here,
we
Joe?
acquired it.
What is this?
That's the butcher shop. This is St. Mary's Road.
Okay.
And this that big hill that goes off of land.
Where's that old farmhouse? Isn't there an old farmhouse? Right over here, okay. But do you see that property? Look how, I mean, this person is gonna get stuffed if they're not gonna.
It all depends on how, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I know what you're saying, yeah. I mean, it looks like they have a, I don't know who that is, but they've got a pretty good lot there.
Hey, see that right there?
That's just a garage though.
That's a house and a.
Yes, correct.
Okay, any,
One of the 50/50.
Well, you tell me it's something you're willing to consider. I will have him get a definition of the property he would like for us to abandon.
I mean,
And
that would be one
make a
street.
written request to me, and I'll present it to you at a subsequent meeting.
I hate to say it, but I would think that would be one street where I don't know if we want to abandon that. Maybe because of Lynn, where it's sitting up there. I don't know. I don't know what the rest of the board's board.
No, I'm thinking the same thing, because there was talk about eventually bringing this back in down here to St. Mary's Road.
I don't know if it.
Because there's Cartier has all that property up in here,
Mm-hmm.
and there was talk, you know how there's a disconnect between Lynn and where the Terrace Heights Trail Court is, there's that ground in there. There's always talk of, would this be of use?
I'm not saying it can't be done, but it would be difficult to get
His would be,
a road in from Lynn to St. Mary's that meets your own road
This is Cartesian here.
grade requirements. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's,
That road in San
I don't
Francisco.
know either. I'm not sure how
One
this
thing you have to
connects.
consider is the fact that that road is very narrow. That when
That's
it was
true.
rebuilt, it was, if you
You're
had
talking about
cars
just a
parked
one-
across from each other, it's like Blaine, it's,
It is.
Yeah, but if
Just
you look
too
at the
narrow.
property lines, that should be a bigger road.
Well,
I think we
it
should
got-
take a look at
it
that.
got the
50
curb
years
and
ago,
gutter.
but
Yeah, but it- yeah.
in order for it to be a real road, that
You'd have to
you'd-
scrape out
you'd
that
take a
guy's
bunch of
driveway and
people's
his
yards, A lot
mailbox.
of room in people's yards, which really wasn't there to make the road the width that it should have
Yeah,
been.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So you're saying on the width it is and
Well,
everything,
I mean,
that
it
would
could-
not be a good through
Well, you
street,
probably
or
have
do
to
anything with it?
restrict parking,
Yeah.
maybe both sides.
Yeah. One side for sure.
Yeah, but it's.
Oh, yeah, you can just look at it down there with your car, and you put another car over there. Harding and ruins all of your.
Yeah, we do, we have plenty. We work on dead end streets all the time, what are you talking about?
So what are we telling Martin to do? Let it, go ahead and do it?
Or you want to get a minute, does everybody want to actually look at
Go
this?
look at it.
Get an answer to next meeting?
We have 3 of them now apparently, so I mean, can you bring some more information on all 3 of them at the next meeting?
What's the third one?
The one down on Gilda and,
Glenda.
or Glenda, I mean,
Glenda.
and, this one and,
We did, the last one we did was Second Street. We did that.
oh, okay, that's right, that's right. That was-
Second
It's at
Washington,
two.
yeah, that was a done deal.
And we just did the one up on 10th or whatever, what is that street up on by Bill Best?
Mary Ellen?
Mary Ellen, Blank, no?
Mary Ellen.
Mary Ellen.
Yeah.
And then last year, year before last, we did the one by in Rosier Addition right off of
Cedar,
Cedar, right where Frank Ballinger's house used to be.
Cedar at the end of Rosier.
Yeah.
I do think your comments are the issue that must be considered. And if you foresee some potential future use,
Well, my biggest
You
one would
wouldn't
be
wanna give
Lynn.
it up, but
Well,
it's-
Lynn would be my biggest concern, not necessarily this one.
Let's see how that connects over. where that
Well,
is.
it doesn't connect. I mean, it,
Yeah, that's a hillside.
This here's all private
I don't think there's
property.
any-
Yeah, you'd have to get easement through all these.
Let's move on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll,
Right.
Set
talk
up
to
a
the
bid.
next
400 or
meeting.
500 feet.
You have this,
Yeah.
this, and to get into here.
That concludes my report.
Any other questions?
To get into there.
Okay, staff reports, Terry, I guess?
Thank you, Mayor and Board. A few things I wanted to point out to you was production in July. We had, our largest day was July 9th, 1.7 million gallons through water plant. We averaged 1.3 million gallons, a little over 1.3, it's like 1.355 per day in July. That's not just an isolated thing to St. Genevieve. There was many communities in the Midwest and around Missouri here that their average pumping days in July was greater than their highest days of the year for any other year in front of that. So July was really tough on water demands. And but anyway, we got through it. It worked out great. We averaged 19 hours a day of run time in the water plant. We had a staff 24 hours a day, so hopefully the sales were good for July. A couple other things in there, I'll just tell you, we did send out requests for bids on our sludge for the disposal. We received one back so far, and the one we received back is lower than the one we used last year. So we should be able to get either more hauled out or have a little bit of a reduction in cost. Any questions?
I have a question. It says that you performed 16 disconnects. Where are we at on that with notifying people prior to being disconnected?
I don't know. That would be,
Remember we discussed that about,
Yeah, there was no direction to change policy at our last meeting.
We send water bills out, don't we?
Yes.
yeah, that would be something that, once.
maybe a 24-hour notice? I mean,
You guys, again, the council so chooses,
yeah.
make that policy.
I think it's just common courtesy, 24 hours. I know you have those people, I mean, but still, I mean, when did we stop becoming neighbors to each other and, hey, we're shutting your water off and, you know, I
Sure.
think, so-
I mean-
I'm sorry, the electric company has a 24-hour notice, I'm sorry. I mean,
How many notices do we send?
This is said 16 people were disconnected for non-payment.
Okay, just,
Well, I'm not saying that. How many notices
We-
do
we
we
send them
send
their
out
bill.
to the people when they're,
Let's say we send them their August bill, and it says pay by
They don't
a
get
certain
no
date.
notice.
They don't pay it when their September bill goes out. It says pay by whatever the date is, 15th, or a disconnect will occur. So that's the notice they get.
There's no notice,
Is on
except
their-
for that.
Is on their bill. So
okay.
they haven't paid August,
Do-
and they haven't paid September by the 15th, is when action is taken.
Okay, so we send out, really, they get notified twice that they're delinquent
On their bill,
on the bill.
on the bill. There's no notice 24 hours before their water is shut off.
But they're getting notice in August.
There's
They're getting
no
notice in September.
24-hour notice
Actually, they're getting a
before their
30-day
water
notice.
They're getting a
gets
30
shut off. There's
they're
no
getting a-
24-hour notice.
No, they're getting a 30-day
It's a common
notice.
courtesy.
Wait a minute, they're getting a 30-day notice.
It's a common courtesy. I mean,
So,
16 people couldn't be notified?
They haven't paid their
Wait a
bill
minute.
for 40 days. They haven't paid their August bill. They get another bill in September that says your water is going to be shut off very soon. So basically, they haven't paid all of August. They get a bill in September. They still have a few more days in September after they get their another notice to pay their bill. So they have 40 days to pay their August bill before it gets turned off.
Don't you think somebody deserves a 24-hour notice before their water's shut off?
10 days.
I'm not saying you don't deserve
I
it,
think
but
part
what
of
difference
the
is it gonna
discussion
make?
that we had is, number one, is how are we gonna do it?
Mm-hmm.
And what if we make the phone call and nobody answers the phone? Do we keep calling until we get somebody? I mean, how much time do we, what do we do to get a hold of them? We talked about putting things on doors, that doesn't seem like doesn't seem like a decent solution to it, because I never used that door, or it blew away, or,
It's not like we live in a city with hundreds of thousands of people. I mean,
but again, and I guess the other point that was brought up, you start notifying people, and the people are
I know,
gonna
and
start
then they're gonna
counting on
go
being
to that-
notified, and then if they don't get a notice, well, you never
but
called me.
16 people could not get a 24-hour notice?
One of the arguments is that it's 16 because of what we do. And
Yeah.
when we didn't do it this way, it was 200.
Something to think about.
But what makes that difference in that, I understand 24 hours, but what makes the difference? If they haven't done it for 40 days and they get a.
Makes a difference is
phone call.
then they'll come in and pay, generally come in
Well,
and pay their
why
bill.
didn't they do it 40 days before?
I
or
mean, I don't
10
know.
days
I mean, I'm just
before?
saying, it's a common courtesy.
It's not a common courtesy for everything that you're behind. I mean, there's a lot of businesses and companies and that don't give you the common courtesy
They
of
don't give you
24
40
hours.
Does
days.
the gas company do that? Give you
Yes, they do.
24-hour notice?
They give you notice. Electric company gives you notice. Cable company
24.
gives you notice. Phone company gives you notice.
In what way?
But our water department doesn't.
Yeah,
You
we
get a
do.
let-
We give 2 notices.
On a,
That's a notice, that's the same, do you, what,
I
do you get
mean-
a phone call from?
you
I
get
don't
a
know.
notice in the mail on all
Well-
those. I mean,
But do they give them a courtesy call 24 hours ahead? On all these other?
yeah, I think they do, honestly.
I mean,
Really?
think
Well,
or
they got a
do, I
bigger
don't
budget
know.
than we do, I guess.
And who does that? I don't know.
I mean, I just think it's rude.
I know,
Uh,
city owner just gives.
Sometimes you gotta learn to be responsible.
You know, comments are comments, right, Carl?
Well, we ought to just give stuff away. I mean, you know, we probably, no sense sending bills, save that
So if
money.
your grandmother forgot to pay her water bill, your grandmother who lives in a senior citizen apartment on a budget, forgot to pay her water bill, maybe she's a little senile, maybe, I don't know what the reason is. Well,
I
shut her
will-
off.
I
She didn't
will-
pay her bill.
I will take care of my grandmother's water bill. You don't have to worry about
I
her.
don't think that's usually.
And I think everyone here is the same
It's just
way.
common courtesy. It doesn't matter. You're gonna shut anybody who's 65,
You get it.
85, 95 off if they're
It's
not gonna pay
simple.
their
You
bill.
get a bill, pay it.
John, I would
If
agree.
you don't pay it,
I
it
would
gets
agree
shut
that
off.
there has to be some modicum of courtesy. Bring up a motion, come up with a solution, bring up a motion, see if you can get a resolution passed.
I think the way that we did leave it, and Alliance has had some success, if we did have a bank of phone numbers that we could just put all them in and it would be an automatic dial thing. And we worked to check that out to see if that was a possibility. I think you've had some success with that.
Yeah, there's
That'd be
different
good.
places that they use different media networks to notify them. Like we mentioned in that meeting, I think maybe a using channel, or TV station, and run a work across the bottom of the screen and list the people's names that haven't paid their bill or delinquent.
That's only 300 people.
Well, wouldn't that be a privacy issue?
Well, no, I mean, it wouldn't be, but,
Pay
you
your
know, you
bill.
wouldn't have to do that, you could just list the date, here's the date your water bill needs to be, and again, you.
I like the phone where it would automatically dial.
The problem, I agree completely with the mayor, the problem is, when you go to notify people, you know, our hearts and our compassion goes out as humans, but.
What?
This-
They're on
this
patrol anyway.
disconnect
In the
list
city, it ain't
starts
like they're
with
driving out in the
300
county.
to 400 names on
there police officers
it, maybe
knocking on
just
doors?
the 24
Yeah.
hours in front. Cindy takes care of this, and she brings the list to us, and we go do the work. But look at this list that's only got 16 names on it in July, was 5 or 6 pages the day or two before that. So, I mean, going and notifying the people is fine. Nobody would have any objections to that once it's established, but the person that got skipped or lost their thing, you know, there's gonna be a lot of excuses, and it's 16 people got shut off. You
Did
can't
they knock on the door before they shut their, hey,
No.
I'm shutting your stuff off?
No, we can't. I mean, once that list is generated, I try to, you know, we tell the guys, hey, if they're using water, maybe give them a few minutes. But no, we don't knock on the door.
Let them wash the soap out of their hair at
Yeah.
least, I mean, seriously.
Because, I mean, it just is, there's confrontation issues, there's all kinds of things that come up. We have to get the police department involved once in a while. But that list is huge, the day or two before. It's down to 16. A year ago, you know, it was really common, 3 or 4 times higher than that. Now it's down to 16, 22, in that range. There's many, many ways to notify, many, many ways. But it's, you know, my experience is somebody is gonna say, I wasn't home, I didn't see the TV. My phone was disconnected.
But then that's their own fault. I mean, like we talked about.
Yeah.
Again, but it's.
No, but it's still a common courtesy. You don't just shut somebody's stuff off.
We'd be proud to do whatever is directed to do.
Am I wrong? I mean,
I agree with Joe. If you want to do a resolution or something, bring it up in front of the city council.
I would like to check
Float
in
something for a
pricing.
couple months. Try something for a couple months. Float something.
Try to do a phone call list, you know, I mean, if it's 16 people, I mean,
Well, I think you're checking into what it
Maybe.
would take to do to get a mass dialing program.
And what the cost of
What that
is.
cost is, I don't know. And maintaining it is another issue.
They
Oh,
move,
yeah,
they
who's gonna do
disappear.
Right.
Not everybody has a phone, they're gonna ignore it too if they know that's what it is, you know?
That's
They
true.
will.
but then you have that one person who legitly, accidentally forgot. I mean, you have that one person.
There's a man right there that will take that
Yeah.
on. He can forgive that.
Martin took care of some, didn't you?
I do
last-
that from time to time, but that's on the reconnect.
Right.
Right,
Right.
But
right.
she's talking about not having the event occur where somebody
Well, if the
inadvertently
event
forgot.
occurs, then you can take care of it. If the need is there.
Yeah. Well, like Terry brought up last time, a lot of these are repeat people every month or every 2 months or whatever, right?
I don't think we're talking
I
about
think we
people
said
that
there was
just
something
forget.
said to
There's
that effect.
several repeat customers, and there's some new customers, but, again, that list starts out very, very large, and it gets down to a small number. It would be amazing if it was 0, you know, because, I mean, we do try to make sure that as soon as they do come up to City Hall and they do pay their bill, you know, we try really hard to get right back out and get them back in service. There's no perfect way to do this.
Thank you, Terry.
Any other questions? Thank you.
We will see, a few phone calls, maybe we can see what that will cost to do.
So why do you envision a dollar and you tell people that if you want to be notified, you have to give us your number to put in the system? I mean, that would be the only way I can see it working.
And then if they come in and say, well, Martin, my water got turned off. Well, you know, this isn't the correct number, that's your own fault. You know what I mean? Then you don't grant them any.
Okay, Dave?
As you see on my report, it doesn't look like we did much, but
somewhere down
we've
here.
been pretty busy patching them holes and everything, and all them streets for the chip and seal. I think we went through a little over 80 yards of concrete so far. Like Warren said, the chip and seal's done other than sweeping, we're gonna do that next week.
Did it go better than you expected?
When the county showed up, yes, it did. When they showed up with them 2 trucks, it was great. Because our little truck, we've been doing it till probably a couple weeks. Just amazing how far one of them will go.
They're bigger bed on that tandem.
Yeah, they did it a lot.
They do a lot, yeah.
And there wasn't too much raking whenever they was done, but when our trucks was done, they did a lot of raking. We keep doing chip and seal, and we'll be good at it.
Dave, on that note, are you gonna go back out maybe tomorrow or anytime soon and hit those spots that have been kind of,
Yes, yes. Actually, I'm gonna let it warm up tomorrow, and then we're gonna get out there while the oil's still a little tender, so we can get, I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna take our roller with a vibrator on and see if we can get it knocked down. Because I got my DJs, I think what happened, somebody peeled out of the parking lot. So that's what did that. And a lot of them waves that you was talking about, Buck, that's just from the rock rolling down, and so we'll get that with a sweeper. And we're gonna
It's not
stockpile.
gonna be a permanent issue, that's why I'm.
No, that's just a rock we're taking. We're gonna stockpile the rock down at the old street shed, so we'll sweep up. And hope we can reuse it. Depends on how many people, mow the grass and throw it out the street and stuff.
how did your defect go, Dave, with your department?
It went real good. Thank God we had that sweeper. Yeah, it went pretty good. And, is that Kenzie that does they do a real good job. There ain't really, we gotta blow the sidewalks off and stuff, but there's not really that much trash in the street anymore, so they do a real good job.
At the Tourism Advisory Council meeting, one of the board members asked that we pass along their thanks, the downtown merchants' thanks for the efforts of the crew, getting it ready and cleaning it up as quickly as you did.
Yeah, not just for the weekend, but for the entire year.
Yeah.
I think it was his comments that wanted to pass that on, not just for Jerdafet, but for the entire year. He wanted to pass those.
Appreciate that. And now that we have the sweeper, now, like I say, we'll keep the downtown. That's been the thing of mine for quite a while, is just keeping the downtown clean. That's where the tourists come in, so.
And you've been happy with the sweeper? Everything's been.
It almost does too good of a job. Some of the places, it just sucks the asphalt up. Yeah, it's working great.
Hey, put it back, we have to keep on those streets.
Anything else for Dave?
Just a little spot up there on Market Street. And just as you approach, like on the right side there, the old house there on the, you got a spot there.
It's like
pothole.
it's falling.
Yeah.
It's not really a pothole, it's just
Well, no, it's
separating of the asphalt.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can do anything with that. It's not gonna be a thick patch, but
That's on my list. We were going to get to that before school started, and then chip and seal came up, so yeah, we're going to be getting that. If we have that blocked off for a day, could you get your bus through there?
yeah, we'll get to school somehow.
Just asking.
Somehow.
There's a bunch of bad spots on Point Base Drive and Parkwood, but I'm asking Martin to get with Dave if it's possible and patch a big pothole in front of a driveway on Point Base Drive. It's the Winston home.
Okay.
If that is possible.
Give me $10,000 on patch the whole thing.
Needs to happen.
Yes, sir.
How about the wall at Washington and where they kept that light pole down?
Yeah.
Needs
We
to be
talked
installed
about
and
that
angled.
before.
In the school, back in session.
We're going to probably try to get to that tomorrow. We're going to put a barricade up on the end of Main Drive tomorrow, so we can get that. You got anything for me, Keith?
Did a good job.
There you go.
Okay. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Your fire tax.
You see Nick's report in there.
House burns down.
Any questions that need to go back to him?
On the mix report?
Yeah.
Just, I want to point out again on the report that there's still, I think, 2 positions open. They're looking for 2 volunteer fire department members. And also it said that there was 25 or 30, I can't remember, fire tags still outstanding. So anyone that hasn't paid their fire tag, be aware that,
If your
you're in
house burns
jeopardy
down,
of-
they're not coming out to spray it off.
so,
Buy their tags.
Yeah, buy the tags, buy the tags.
That's what Mick said.
No, he did not say
No,
that.
he didn't.
I didn't think he did either.
No,
He did not say that. He said he would
New
put
state
fire out.
law, they can build
You
a
don't
person
have
for
to.
leaning against the property. That's what he said.
Yep.
Okay, Eric. See Eric's report here, he's here if anybody has any questions. Lucky you.
Well, I did want to ask, this is, might be unrelated to the police department, but been approached about some downtown parking some months ago. Did we get that resolved?
Residence parking?
Yes.
You'll have an ordinance at your next meeting.
There we go. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Okay, and committee reports?
Well, only thing is like Martin said, that we're kind of on the hold, waiting for the MoDOT to get back as far as placing the signs on their right of way. And we do have bids back in that we'll be reviewing Monday at the next meeting, and then looking at the signage and the placement, so we'll make sure that we're all set up and ready to go.
Great, that's great. Anybody else? Okay, minutes from the August 9th meeting,
Move approval.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, financial report for July,
Move approval.
Second.
all in favor? Opposed? Okay, it's 7:46, we'll open a public hearing. This hearing, citizens may comment on the property tax rates proposed to be set by the city of St. Genevieve political subdivision. The tax rates shall be set to produce revenues which the budget for fiscal year 2013 shows to be required from the property tax. Anybody like to make any comments? Anybody on the board? Okay, guess we'll close the hearing at 7:47. And I guess we'll go into old business. Bill number 3880, the second reading.
An ordinance amending chapter 205, animals of the Code of Ordinances of the City of St. Genevieve, Missouri.
Roll call.
Alderman Skaggs.
Yes.
Alderwoman Zerwig.
Yes.
Alderwoman Broomfield. Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Okenfuss.
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
Alderman Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no's. Bill number 3880 now becomes ordinance 3820.
Thank you. Guess everybody will have fresh eggs tomorrow, right?
No, you gotta have their permit first.
No rooster.
Cost $10.
Do we have tags for those chicks?
Yeah, they'll be here next month.
No, you don't okay. I have a form of an application that I'm going to adopt, and,
Them hens start crowing, we're in trouble.
Okay, bill number 3882, second reading.
An ordinance approving a budget amendment to the City of St. Genevieve fiscal year 2012 budget relating to the debt service fund number 050.
Move approval.
second.
Roll call.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
Alderman Stupi.
Yes.
Alderwoman Zerwig.
Yes.
Alderman Skaggs.
Yes.
Alderwoman Broomfield. Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers. Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Okenfuss,
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no's. Bill number 3882 now becomes ordinance 3821.
Okay, thank you. Bill number 3883, second reading.
An ordinance approving a budget amendment to the City of St. Genevieve fiscal year 2012 budget relating to the general fund number 010.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call?
Alderman Okenfuss.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderman Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
Alderwoman Broomfield.
Yes.
Alderman Skaggs.
Yes.
Alderwoman Zerwig.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no's. Bill number 3883 now becomes ordinance 3822.
Okay, new business. Bill number 3884.
An ordinance amending chapter 715 user charge systems, section 700.080 water use charges, subsection A and subsection B of the St. Genevieve Municipal Code regarding water use charges.
Discussion.
Move approval.
Second.
Now we can discuss.
Okay.
I just wanted to point out to the public that this is not due to our contract with Alliance. That these were needed improvements in the water, in this case, the water department, and it is not in any way attributed to our contract with Alliance.
Good point.
Related to DNR.
Yeah, related to DNR, not our service with Alliance. That's all I had, Mayor.
All in favor of first reading?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Bill number 3885, first reading.
An ordinance amending chapter 715 user charges, section 715.140 sewer charges and billing, subsection D of the St. Genevieve Municipal Code regarding sewer use charges.
Move to approve.
Second.
Again, just to reiterate what Joe has said, these are mostly the cause of DNR and EPA requirements to bring our systems up to par where they're supposed to be, so.
And I guess on that note, if you compare our rates to other local municipalities, we're still fairly consistent or even lower than a lot of them.
And we don't have a Walmart.
Okay, their motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, bill number 3886, first reading.
An ordinance levying taxes for the year 2012.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I believe when we got this,
We don't get this information in time enough for us to put it on an agenda.
Do you need a second reading?
I need a
on it?
second reading.
I'd make a motion, we do a second reading, sir. Second.
all in favor, second reading?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, second reading, bill number 3886.
An ordinance levying taxes for the year 2012.
Move approval. Second.
Roll call?
Alderman Skaggs.
Yes.
Alderwoman Zerwig.
Yes.
Alderman Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
Alderman Okenfuss.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderwoman Broomfield.
Yes.
8 yes, 0 no's. Bill number 3886 now becomes ordinance 3823.
Thank you. Going to the public comments part, anybody out there want to address the board? Yes, ma'am.
Yes. We, at the school district.
Please identify yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. Shelley Jokers, the superintendent of schools. At the school district, we have, for a long time, been concerned about the area behind our elementary school, especially in the afternoon before children pick up. Parents come behind there to the bridge, the children stand on the bridge, and is that 8th Street? 8th Street comes right behind the elementary building, and if you were to go straight, you would go through our gate and down into the parking lot by the football field. So if you kind of know where I'm talking about, and then Ridgeway makes the right angle there. And so the children come across the bridge and the parents come down this way and pick them up. The pickup area is a bit problematic because the roads are narrow, as we're all aware of and as we're all used to. But the problem that we are concerned about mostly is more the children who are walking. And there's so much traffic that comes through there. You have the children who walk, and they come across the bridge, and they're crossing, either they're going up Ridgeway on this side, which would be the north side, I believe, and then they cross later where the traffic, after they're out of our sight, we can't really see them, you know, they need to go to the south side. They're going this way, and then they cross down the road, which worries us. Or they're trying to cross where the traffic is coming through right at that corner so that they can be on the south side of Ridgeway to go. What we'd like to ask you all to consider, and we've spoken with Chief Bennett about this, is perhaps to make two things. One, that there's no parking on Ridgeway on either side from 2:30 to 3:30 on days that school is in session. That would take a couple of signs. It would keep the roadway a little bit clearer, a little bit wider as people come through there. 1 hour of the day. Second thing is that we would like to see a crosswalk, a painted crosswalk where we can direct the children, because we teach them about crosswalks and we tell them that's the safe place to cross. And so what we'd like to see is for those who need to cross to the south side of Ridgeway, that there be either a crosswalk directly from the bridge that angles right straight across that turn, or either coming on around and having it go, you know, straight across rather than the angle across, because we're right there. We have personnel right there. We can watch them as they cross. If they're going to cross, we would prefer that they do it there. So that's what we're asking you all to consider, the two things. No parking for 1 hour on days that schools are in session from 2:30 to 3:30, and then a placement of a crosswalk there so that kids can get from the bridge over to the south side of Ridgeway and on down into that area of that residential area there. That's all our request is for tonight. And I know that we're working on the safe routes to school, and I know that there's some improvements coming based on that, and I appreciate that. But I just think this has been something that has been a concern of ours at school for quite some time, and I think a lot of parents might feel more comfortable if we went ahead and addressed those things. So, questions? Yes,
It'd be
sir.
the one block area between 8th and 9th, is that what you're saying for the
No parking, yes, sir.
And then we probably need another crosswalk at 9th Street.
Well, I believe there is
there
one
one
there.
there?
We kind of are discouraging kids from crossing there. If they really need to go to that south side, we'd like them to cross there where we can help them, and we've got personnel in the afternoon watching.
Well, I'm talking about the group that goes further on down Ridge.
We'd like them to walk on the south side from the very
Right.
beginning with Ridgeway.
Right.
But yeah, there is a crosswalk down there on the
They put one there
at
already?
night.
There is not one on the private property that basically dead ends at the football field.
Oh.
That's
one on
where
the
we'd
other
like,
side?
But there's one going across Ridgeway with there, and
Oh,
then
okay.
again, across Ninth
I didn't
Street
even
on the
realize
south side of the road. It's a new addition.
All right.
I had a lot of people give me a call, first day of school, second day of school on that issue. I did talk to Chief Bennett last school year about making that one way. And
That's
I
another
got
option.
I got some phone calls about the people said there's no parking. They got a letter through mail through the school, says no parking there. You have to come pick the kids up. And there's parents said that it took like 30 minutes.
on the
It was-
first day.
First day.
On the first day only.
Okay.
I want to emphasize that, on the first day only, it took a while. That is fairly common, many reasons for that. a lot of which is that a lot more parents decide to actually bring their child and pick them up on the first day because it's the first day. And, but otherwise, it's just that everybody's not used to the routines yet. The children are still not used to the routines. The faculty, we have a lot of holdup because kids think they're supposed to get on the bus, and so they're out there on the bus, and mom and dad are sitting in the back, and so we've got a car sitting there and no kid, and we're trying. So, second day, the bridge was entirely cleared out by 3:17.
That's right, that's correct. And
So, that's pretty doggone good. That's about as good as you're going to get. So it won't be, it's the first day of school that kind of problem happens.
You need to introduce this lady that's
I have
making
this other
comments.
lady back here, this anonymous lady who's, you all may be wondering who she is. This is Miss Peggy Hitt. She's our new elementary principal, so we're glad to have her. And she is the one that is out there every day watching all this, and she has come to me with this. She's the one that's discussed it with Chief Bennett, and they feel like this is a workable solution. We kicked around the idea of one way also. It just seems like that's maybe more than we need.
Start here and see how that works.
Yeah, I think that may be a tad of overkill. I think that the problem could be addressed satisfactorily with just the measures that we've discussed. So, anything else you would like to add, or Chief Bennett, anything you have?
Harrison, you and I discussed maybe parking restriction, is that on 8th Street? Didn't you
On
mention
8th
something
Street,
about that?
Was that the last time this came up?
Probably.
Yeah, initially it was proposed for a one-way all the way on 8th Street around.
And
Ridgeway.
And Ridgeway. We looked at the problems with that as far as school events letting out when they do open those gates.
Right.
It would restrict straight on traffic. We met very little opposition with the one-way proposal from the residents up there. And the points that the one resident brought up were valid points as far as restricting traffic year-round for an event that really only affects them 30 minutes a day through the school year.
Right.
Our hesitance towards a variable one-way, a variable parking restriction may lead to some enforcement action. A variable traffic restriction could lead to an accident, with the confusion of, is it one-way now, is it not one-way now? So that seems problematic to us. I think that this is probably the best solution. It keeps the line of vision open for the teachers that are there at the bridge, keeps kids from walking out in front of a car if there's not a car there. So it certainly seems like the best option at this point in time.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Half days, not real. When you have half days, is that going to affect it when you just do 2:30 to 3:30?
I would think once people get in the routine, that they're going to know that it's not really preferred that they park there. If that becomes an issue, then we'll certainly revisit that.
I would think that there would be some allowance, because we don't have scheduled half days, so people wouldn't be aware ahead of time. Those half days happen in inclement weather, and so I would think we would try to be reasonable and ask for some leniency from Chief Bennett and his officers on parking.
One of the issues that I think you probably got some calls about was the perception that the school was encouraging kids to just walk by themselves, that they were not wanting parents to walk up and get the kids. Speaking with the school district, that was definitely not the case. It was just an effort to make parents aware of the parking problems that were there. And by the second day, I was up there for it, and many of the parents seemed very appreciative that they had taken the efforts. But the school did want to clarify, that they're not discouraging parents from walking up and getting their children by any stretch. They would much rather have the parents escorting the children than the children walking to them somewhere and being at risk there. So that was not the intention of the initial request. It was just merely to keep that lane of traffic open so that the school would have the visibility while the children were walking. And there again, I think that this is probably the best measure to make that happen, at least for now. It's the least invasive and hopefully will be effective.
Is there any plans to make a covered walkway from the entrance door out to there?
We
Because that was one concern.
been approached about that. I know that PTA has some interest in that, and We have sort of a sketch drawing, not something that you could actually build from. And so we're working, I think PTA has approached someone about getting an actual architectural drawing so that we could have it, so we could get measurements and do the actual things that would be needed to make a good covered bridge area. So, yeah, because sometimes the weather, in the rain or whatever, we do have umbrellas and things like that we try to help with, but yeah, that can be a little bit problematic.
So you want to make Ridgeway no parking?
On both sides between 8th and 9th.
What are you going to do about the parents that park there?
That's what they're hoping to.
That's what we're hoping to alleviate.
To alleviate,
I know,
so they
but
can walk up the additional block.
But I mean, where are they going to park? I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but I've been up there numerous
You mean
times.
the
and I said,
residents?
no, the
The
people
parents.
picking up their kids, they get there like 20, 30 minutes early and park, sitting there waiting.
Right, and those are typically the people that are in their cars waiting to pick them up and roll them through the
We
line.
just
That's still
need-
not going to be affected.
No. If they're there to park and pick up their child, that's okay, because they're gonna be leaving right away. It's the folks who are just parked there and you can't see around the car and the
So we're
kids start
encouraging
out.
them, well, they'll be restricted from parking on that block, so the block between 9th and Virginia would certainly be open. All of 9th would be open still, and they just have to walk the additional half block.
So you're saying they're parked sitting in their car waiting? That's not the
fine,
intent?
because they're gonna grab their kid and go and they'll be out of our
Right.
way. It's the folks who are just, well, and it's, frankly, it's probably some of them high school kids, but
Yeah.
if it's a no parking area, that will help us on that as well.
Okay.
See, the 3 or 4
Okay.
times I went up there last year, there was no cars on either side
Hardly ever.
until parents came.
Right.
And
And
that's
then the
okay,
next
but-
problem was I asked numerous school board members to come up with me undercover, which they never have. You got the same people every time that's got to make a U-turn and go back out instead of going up
And what we're
and hitting
hoping
9th
by
Street.
eliminating both sides of parking, because what they're encouraging, like she said, is kids to walk on the south side of the road.
Yeah.
Blocking the south side of the road from parking is hopefully going to discourage people from coming back in from the 9th Street side. And we're certainly going to step up our enforcement actions as necessary to discourage people from going against the grain, so to speak.
Well, my only, I would, your people do a wonderful job up there, but I wish somebody would have stopped them and said, hey, turn around and go the other way like everybody else. It's the same people
Well,
last year,
and-
and I'm gonna check it this year, it was the same people.
The
time
issues
after
that they
time.
ran into with that is just like their letter, the school really can't ask people
I
not to
know.
park on the streets, and they also can't redirect traffic, with their authority. And then, like I said, that's where we're gonna hopefully step out as needed and redirect those people before it ever gets, and we've already started that. The second day, it's the same parents typically every day that come and get them, so once they are aware that the efforts are being taken, everybody seems to have been cooperative and wants to make it work as best as possible.
There's gonna be days out of your party days or whatever, where you're gonna have those suggestions, and people ain't gonna know, they're gonna use, well, I didn't know, and then be told to move on, probably, right?
Probably so, yes. This is definitely not an effort to generate any additional parking tickets or revenue, just more so to ensure the safety of the kids, so.
Well, I'm sure everybody's in agreement, we'll ask for an ordinance to be drawn up for the next meeting, and we'll get it approved, and see if that works.
Chief can do it
I
without an
I could
order.
go
Oh,
up
okay.
to,
We can, I mean,
temporary
we'll get it going.
parking permit signs or parking restriction signs with the board's approval.
We need it, I guess we need it if we're gonna make it permanent, right, Frank?
You need an ordinance to make it permanent.
Right.
I will do temporary until then, with the board's approval.
I only have one other question I gotta
Yes,
ask.
sir.
With the addition that you added on, do you have more parking now or less?
With behind the area
The
behind.
fine arts and all
Fine
that,
arts.
the addition.
I think ultimately we have more, it's not all, we have more parking area, it's not all paved. There's more area, but some of it's gravel.
You sell parking permits or however, I guess you do.
For the
right?
students, we
Yeah.
do have them get parking permits, and actually, there's still enough for all of them to park up on the paved lot. What we've added is area for overflow parking for events that, but the kids kids still are mostly up on top. I haven't seen anybody yet down below. Of course, this is the least number of drivers we'll have in the school year is right now. As we progress through the year, obviously there'll be more drivers. And so we'll see if it gets to the point of them having to go park down below. But actually, we're still in good shape on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all very
And
much.
welcome aboard to your new principal.
Oh, we're glad to have her. She's an Andrew.
Anybody else? Okay, great. Under other business, we have street, yes.
Okay, I can wait till my communication portion. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Street closure for the community center for September the 29th for an hour.
Second.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And a street closure request from St. Genevieve County, from the County Commission on Saturday, September the 29th, and on Monday, October the 1st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now, any other,
Oh, God. I spoke with Betty Arnold this afternoon. She was the organizer of this World War II honor tour. And she would like to see as many of us as possible, mayor, city staff, aldermen, to be at the Legion Hall when these folks come back from Washington DC on September 5th. They're leaving on the 3rd, and they're gonna be back around noon on the 5th. It's a Wednesday, I think. Well, yeah, the 3rd's well, I know, but it's at noon. Oh, okay. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's when they hope that they come in around that time. They don't know about their flight when it gets in.
Like we did last year.
Yeah, she's gonna call you, Martin, and we're supposed to communicate with Martin whether or not we can be there, so she can kind of plan. They're gonna have some snacks or some food there, and they just wanna know who all's gonna attend. There's 5 gentlemen going. Terry McGain is gonna accompany them as a guardian. Terry McGain is gonna guard these guys. Anyway, Jules Bomber Brown, he's from St. Mary's, I understand. Lawrence Schilling, I'm not sure that gentleman. Edwin Greiter, I think he's St. Genevieve resident. Clarence Shooting, of course, he's St. Genevieve resident. And then Richard Mitchell, I think he's from out Lake Forest or Greyhawk or something. Anyway, I think it's a pretty neat thing. I was there last year at Legion Hall when they all came into town. It was well attended, I believe. But were you there, Mayor?
Yeah.
Martin? We gotta let Martin know if we can make it, let Betty know. Okay, thank you.
All right. Yes, sir.
I guess yesterday at tourism meeting, I guess an alderman or liaison brought up something about 798, and somebody called me very upset. And if you got time Tuesday night, I'd like you to come to the meeting, and I think they'd like to talk to you.
You directing it to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the meeting was today.
Yeah, okay, today.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch it. I was out of town.
Yeah.
But they'd like for you to come to the 798 meeting, and they'd like to talk to you.
Be more than happy to.
6 o'clock Tuesday night. Be there.
Sounds great.
He said there's some things he said it was untrue, so I didn't see it. I don't know.
I'd be curious to say what I think we had, I don't know if you were here, Mayor.
I wasn't here at that part. I was here for the
But,
first part.
yeah.
Anyway, if you can make it, I appreciate it.
Well, and just so while we're on TV, I'll let the listeners know, or the viewers know, we did talk about Channel 798, that they'd come to the Board of Aldermen to ask for more funding, and I told the members of the Tourism Committee that that they might want to do the same thing. So that I told them that 798 had lost some of their PEG fees, they'd lost all of their PEG fees, had lost some of their subscribers, had lost basically all their funding except for city funding. So I'm pretty sure I didn't say anything that was incorrect. Martin, you were there.
Nothing you said struck me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I just.
So I'd be curious to know what I said that was incorrect. So, but I'd be more happy to come to your meeting.
Anybody else?
I'm loose.
Okay, we want to have a
Yeah, bring
closed
Luke's up
session
here.
to talk about some litigation. So
Move for a closed session for legal purposes.
You need,
Second.
Bob need a copy? You need?
Well,
No, okay.
who seconded that?
I did.
You did? Okay, roll call.
Alderman Skaggs.
Yes.
Alderwoman Zerwig.
Yes.
Alderman Stupi.
Yes.
Alderman Jokers.
Yes.
Alderman Steiger.
Yes.
Alderman Okenfuss.
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
Yes.
Alderwoman Burnett.